Okay, so welcome back to another video. Now I'm going to be showing you how to take full advantage of a pan cube, right? Now I'm going to be doing that on so I'm basically at a desk, which is just here, and I'm going to be showing you how to take full advantage of one of these, right? Now it's a pretty decent pan cube. Now it's made by Lovelock, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the stuff out that I'm going to back in, and I will show you that momentarily. Okay, so this is all the stuff out, right there, and it is, you know, a sizable amount of stuff there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how this is going to be right. What I'm going to do, right, is I'm going to pack this whilst talking to you. I'm going to pack this packing cube. Now this is the size of the packing cube. It's a standard packing cube. It's a pretty large packing cube. We'll give you that. But I'm going to be putting these clothes here into this packing cube here, right? And while I do that, I'm going to be talking to you about some things that are happening that is of concern, right? And the first is, right, now my main job, right, whilst I'm at uni, right, has been delivering for Uber Eats. And essentially, the problem I'm running into, right, is the fact that it seems that deliveries have kind of stopped happening, right? Because, you know, I was out for about 2 hours, right, on today, Easter Sunday, right, as I'm filming this. And I managed to get 2 orders, right, McDonald's and KFC. And I was out, you know, at dinner time, right, at like, you know, 5 o'clock, right, and I got 2 orders. And, you know, there used to be times when you would get, like, you know, Sundays normally, I used to earn about 50 or 60 pounds in about 3 hours on Uber Eats, right? I'm now barely earning 10, right? And it's not just me, right? This is seemingly a growing problem among the delivery community, right? And, you know, it's not sustainable because we're paid per delivery, right? Which means that if there are no deliveries, we have no work, which means that we have no money, right? And we are paid, you know, quite badly, right? So it is of serious concern, right, that we cannot really plan anything, right? I mean, I made today £7.40, right? Yesterday, right, I made about £3, right? And there have been several days when I've made absolutely nothing, right? Now, luckily, I am also on an app called Fantuan, right, which is an amazing app in every way except its design, its the way that it's manufactured, and the way that it's been conceived. It's basically a bit crap. Now, I've got this all in, by the way, but it is basically a bit crap, right? And the big question has to be: has the food delivery bubble burst, right? And there are a lot of questions that are being brought around at the moment about, you know, have various bubbles burst? Are we heading towards a 2008 style recession? The government would like to say that it isn't, that we're not. Anyone with half a brain will say, well, effectively we are already in one and have been for several years. But I want to kind of I want to give you a kind of idea. Now, unfortunately, the way that normal people would do it would be to use one of these. Unfortunately, this camera I got for 30 quid. So, you know, its quality is commensurate with that price. So, you know, it's not exactly great. But in a week to make £58, which is how much I've made this week, isn't great when I've put in, you know, a good 10 hours. Right? That works out at about £5 an hour, which is at present half of the UK's minimum wage. Right? So, you know, it's not great. Right? So, you know, and I'm not that now. Luckily for me, right, I'm a student. That's my primary means of, you know, being alive. I you know, get a student loan. It's about £11,000 a year, and I get some money as well from Dartford Council. It's about 65 quid a week, which works out at about £3,500 to £4,000. So effectively, I'm living off, you know, £15,000. That's not really enough to live off, right? Especially when you're living in London. Luckily, you know, if you include the amount of money that actually goes into this place that I'm in, it gets up towards 21,000 once you account for this being paid for. But again, it's not great. I mean, I currently have £2,000 worth of credit card debt and an overdraft of £1,000, right? Although most of that's deliberate and it's sensible things, and I have a plan to repay it. But there are people who just do Uber Eats and Deliveroo and Just Eat and all those companies as their primary means of, you know, making money and living. And they can't do that anymore, right? Because the amounts of money that are being paid by these apps is pathetic. So, the solution, right? I mean, it's very easy to mourn, right? But, you know, it's quite a lot harder to actually pick up solutions. Here's the solution, and this will be directly to Uber and Deliveroo. Not so much Just Eat, because they've got this message, right? But Uber and Deliveroo. Yeah? The people who are working for your app are not independent contractors. They're employees, right? You know, a contractor is a person who sets the terms, right? If you've ever, you know, had a plumber, they will specify a price. You can't say you will do this work for this amount of money and you'll be happy with it, right? That's not something that you can do, right? The plumber sets the price. Normally you have a negotiation to try and figure out how much you are going to pay for the service. Uber doesn't do that, right? Uber, basically, there is a set fare, right? And that fare, right, is about £2.80 as the base fare, right? And that is like up to you know, half a mile, you know, you're going to get £2.80, right? Now that doesn't include, right, and that £2.80 is not only the compensation for that journey, right, but also the waiting time at the restaurant, which for someone like McDonald's could be up to 20 minutes, right? And the waiting time for the customers, because some customers, you know, take the piss, right? So all of that, you know, a half hour work, potentially, £2.80. Now it goes up, and there are boosts, right? So when it's busy, you do get some more money, or when Uber thinks it should be busy, you get more money. Very rarely isn't. It very rarely is, right? And there are all kinds of things that affect how much money you can make, right? I mean, there's simple things like, you know, is it a Monday evening, right? Everyone cooks on Monday. Everyone starts the week being like, I'm going to be healthy. I'm going to, you know, cook for myself. I'm going to be a proper adult. And that always ends by the time you get to Thursday. Thursday, people are just giving up and start getting takeaways, right? So you know, there's stuff like that, right? But there's also things like, is it sunny? If it's sunny, there's no orders, right? Because no one's ordering, everyone's going out, right? But it makes sense, right? Is it, right? Genuinely, the best working conditions, right? The best time to get work on Uber Eats, right, is on holidays, when it's pissing down with rain and freezing cold. Those are the best times to do Uber Eats, right? Now, coincidentally, when it's freezing cold and wet, you're not going to have fun whilst you're doing that job, right? And, you shouldn't go and do a job and be bored out of your mind, right? Obviously, you have to pay the waiters. You have to pay your way, right? But, you should enjoy your work, right? Because if you don't, it's not going to be good for your mental health. It's not going to be good, and you're not going to work as hard, right? Like, that's a brutal honesty. That's why working conditions should be really good, is because people will work hard, right? So it makes no sense the way that Uber is operating, right? With independent contractors, right? Which basically, in case you wonder what that means, right? It doesn't just mean that we can work whenever we want, right? I could just get up and go now and work, right? I mean, I probably won't get any orders. It's Easter Sunday and it's, 20 to 12. But I could theoretically get up and go to work, right? So that's number one, right? That's one reason why. That's one thing that's good about, being self-employed, is you can just go when you want and you don't have to, listen to anyone. The downside is there's no pension. There's no guaranteed wage. There's no benefits, right? So, usual things like sick pay, holiday pay, you have to budget that out, right? And you can't control the price, right? Like, so most plumbers, right, if they're struggling to make ends meet, they can just raise their prices, right? Not a problem. Uber drivers can't do that, right? And neither can taxi drivers. Neither can anyone really. Neither can any of the public the self-employed people who actually people deal with day to day, right? They can't you can't change your working conditions really, and some things have been bandied about, right? Like the people have been talking about Uber drivers should go on strike. It's quite difficult on strike when you're self-employed, because you're going on strike from yourself, right? Because Uber can just say, well, you're not an employee, you're a contractor, just don't work with us, right? Simple as that. Which doesn't seem right when Uber sets the terms. Uber have to approve you. And I mean, the biggest problem, right, genuinely, the biggest problem with Uber Eats, right, at this point, is the fact that at present, Uber is accepting anyone who signs up, right? Like Deliveroo and Just Eat and Stuart, right, they have stopped recruiting. They've got enough people, they've stopped recruiting. Uber hasn't. Uber is still recruiting, which means that there are thousands, right, of Uber Eats riders and Uber drivers in London alone, right? Thousands. Way more than is needed, right? And, you're probably thinking, well, okay, but there is one barrier to entry, which is, the delivery bag, right? And, of course, the bike and equipment, that's you do have to put in a bit of money, right? Then that would seem like a normal barrier to entry. The problem arises in the fact that there are many people who deliver using, the cool bags that you get at like Sainsbury's, right? People delivering those, which, by the way, I don't know how they've got away with that. I mean, it's essentially wrapping your stuff in tinfoil, right? It doesn't actually keep things cold, right? These ones do, right? Because they're designed in such a way that they are able to hold the cold. I mean, I've had many times I've gone out, got a takeaway with one of those and brought it home again, and I've bought hot food at Morrison's in Canning Town, ridden back here, which takes about 15 minutes, and it's still been, reasonably hot, right? Which, by the way, if you ever get freezing cold food from a delivery service, it's because they're not using one of those, or they're leaving the thing open, which, by the way, negates the whole point. So, there are things that are not great about Uber. The things that are not great about some delivery drivers, not all, right? Most are pretty good, but there are some who are, you know, a bit cavalier with how they handle themselves, right? And it is a bit concerning because, you know, people don't order from a delivery service if they get crappy service. Simple as that, right? There are plenty of delivery options. So, I mean, the point of this discussion, right, I think has to be the fact that the food delivery bubble has clearly burst. And it's about time that it's recognised that this, as a job, outside of being a student and just wanting some extra money for the pub, or being, or having a full-time job and then having this as kind of a side gig, right? But as a full-time job, which Uber is insisting you can do, it just isn't worth it. You're not going to be able to afford to do it unless you're working, 10 hours a day. Unless you're working 14 hours a day every single day, right? Because, there are busy periods, right? But then there are very long periods when there's absolutely nothing going on. And if the weather's nice, and if it's, quite warm, like it is now, yeah, you're not going to be able to actually make any money. And so, it's just not worth it. Okay, so that's the end of the video. Now it's a bit of a different video for me. Actually, just talking straight at camera about something that's quite personal. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, why not hit the subscribe button, like the video, and yeah, see you next time.